Hello. How are you doing tonight? I've been a little bit under the weather for the last week. Starting to kind of get over it. So tonight I'm relaxing with some hot tea and my fashionable ceramic RT mug. Hit me up if you're interested in any of these mugs. They're very nice. So this isn't going to stop me from listening to some of my favorite music and sharing it with you. And tonight we're going to do something about Gothic rock. Remember Gothic rock? Yeah, that kind of started mainly in Europe in the late 70s. And it's a very broad term for music. I mean, you could be talking about anything from Alice Cooper, Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Cradle of Filth, King Diamond, all the way to bands like The Cult, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, The Sisters of Mercy. So it covers a lot in rock and roll, and it usually means that your music has a very dark sensibility to it, which I find kind of funny because if you know anything about the Gothic age and Gothic architecture and Gothic cathedrals and all that sort of thing, I mean you're talking about buildings that were built to encapsulate light, to capture light. Um, those windows, the reason the roofs are made the way they're made is to capture light. When the sun comes in, it captures light and it holds that light for so long. Even moonlight. Um, if you have a full moon and it's coming in through a Gothic cathedral, that moonlight is going to be amplified and it's going to light up your building. But the rock and rollers, and I admit the architecture is creepy, and so of course the rock and rollers and the whoever's they look at it as creepy and scary, and they call their music Gothic. I've even heard recently people starting to refer to some country bands as dark country and Gothic country. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some further research on that one. So you have Europe in the late 70s creating some of these bands. Like I said, the Cult was originally called the Southern Death Cult. They turned into the Cult, and they were more of a rock and roll band then. The Cure was late 70s, started off in the late 70s. So sooner or later, America had to create a Gothic rock band. And that band would come in the form of LA-based, city of Los Angeles, not Louisiana, 45 Grave is often considered the very first American Gothic rock band. Some people claim they're the first horror punk band. I would argue that. I mean, the Misfits are around at the same time, started around the same time. It's one of those good old-fashioned rock and roll arguments, kind of like who's the first punk band, the Ramones or Sex Pistols. Who's the first heavy metal band, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, yeah, whatever. Who's the first horror punk band, 45 Grave, the Misfits, whatever. But if you want to say they're the first American Gothic rock band, I might give that to you. I might agree with that one. So, 45 Grave. They came out in the late 70s, 79, 80, somewhere like that. They put out a whole bunch of singles. And then by 1983, they put out their first record, full-length record. And then after that, they put out a bunch of singles. And then somewhere in the late 80s, I'm sure it's on here. They put out this one. It's a live record called Only the Good Die Young. And it's basically the first record and a bunch of their singles. They then went on touring, put out a whole bunch more singles. One of the main members of the band passed away in the early 90s, and the band became defunct, disbanded. And 25, 30 years later, they reformed in 2012 and put out one more album. And since that album, they've put out more singles and they've done more tours, but it's kind of funny, they only have 2 full-length albums and 1 live album. So, if you're familiar with this band, you know exactly what song I'm going to play. If you're not familiar with this band, you're about to hear what's considered their best song or their biggest hit. And chances are, if you are a horror movie nerd or really into B movies, B horror movies, B science fiction movies, you've probably heard this song. Because it tends to be in a lot of movies. Usually some greaser in a car is driving through a party or something and you can hear it in the background, or maybe it's a bunch of raucous kids having a house party and the parents aren't around. Who knows? That's usually when you're going to hear this song. So let's listen to it. You know what? I might change my format. I forgot how much I like tea. Okay, let's do it. 45 Grave. Party time.
几年来哈的 chance
There you go, 45 Grave. It's party time. On their live album from, I don't know when the album came out, but I think it was recorded in '88. Only the Good Die Young. Or maybe it's Only the Young Die Good. You ever think of it that way? Hope you liked it. That's probably their most famous song. They have other great songs. If they're ever in your town around Halloween, it's a good show. So, be nice, be kind, be humble. See you later.